I wrote down some things that that made me grateful as a disabled student in college campus at Nichols and Fletcher. Well, mostly Nichols. Mostly Nichols. I'm gonna say this. Some does apply to Fletcher too, but mostly Nichols. Number one, and this is top tier, and a lot of disabled students will write this. I'm really was grateful how campus and I experienced um, the ramps in Nichols though. I'm glad that it has been made pretty accessible for disabled people. I'm going to say why because autism to me this is basically from my own experience. Autism to me is not just affecting learning, but I have some problems with motor skills. Like, a lot of times I feel very insecure about the stairs. Like, going up and down the steps, even. Especially over a flight that it can be proven very challenging. So, a lot of times, because let me tell you how I do the up part. The up part, I try to separate my feet. But when I get to the bottom part, I kind of put my feet together because I had a fear of falling somehow. So I kind of liked how Nichols had ramp access in the buildings. I felt that made it essential, especially when I don't balance that great. And um, on top of that, I had to bring a heavy school bag to and from campus every day. The ramps make it easier because then again, especially the best part is when one of the ramps is right by an elevator. Talbot has that. But again, sometimes if I go through the front, I just go through the side, go through the and just go to the side by the side door, and there's an elevator. There's easier access to go to the upstairs classrooms, upstairs practice rooms, so on. And I think most of the other academic buildings had it either in the front or on the side somewhere. Or sometimes you gotta go through the front and you have to go to the end of the hallway. I think Peltier had that part. You gotta go to the front of Peltier, go to the side, and then I think you swing it, it's on the left side, you press the button, and you got it set to go. So ramps and elevators were a thing for me. All day, every day I was on campus. And even in addition to that, having those buttons to open the door when my hands are full. That's a plus. The only thing I might have gotten upset when the elevators don't work is that when sometimes the faculty members in the buildings, I don't want to say negative things about it, they kind of not, they don't really tell us ahead of time. Out of maybe one or two instances that might have occurred, that issue. Like one instance was the library, and Dr. St. Marie wanted to have a class in the library with helping us with a paper. And I was trying to get it for the elevator in Ellender. And I was like, and it had a sign that said the elevator is broken. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna darn do? Because they should have really know how to walk in my shoes. Because my back was on that cart, it was like 20-some pounds of heaviness with the books, the computer, everything that I use day to day. And plus, not just that, I've had to carry my stick bag everywhere, which weighed maybe about an extra 10 pounds on my, like, I was rolling about 20 pounds on my arm and maybe about 10 pounds on my shoulder. So when that happened, I had to go up 2 flights of stairs. Yeah, but I didn't make a big deal of it. It was for class participation and all that, and I cared about my grades, so I kind of didn't make a big fuss about that one, because I wanted to be counted for the day, if that was the thing. And another instance is when I went in my psychology class, second semester of sophomore year, and there was a day where one of the front elevators broke down. Like, unexpectedly broke down. I was like, oh crap, I gotta do this again. And carry the bags all the way 2 flights of stairs. That was a challenge, because knowing the fact it's like whenever I had to do that, it made my balancing extra difficult to do. And I'm glad that even if I felt like, okay, even if I been through some difficulties here and there, I try to make the best of it by not complaining as much. If this was being a problem, I would have complained, because this is a violation of ADA, where you got somebody with autism that has problems, But I didn't want to do that, because number one, I don't want to make the university look bad, even if this thing says it's not their fault. And I was too kind of a person to do that. So, but anyways, I'm grateful for when it did work. So that's why I look at it that way, that direction. Secondly, I'm thankful for public transportation. And I had some really good people whenever I was... There's this one driver that stood out to me throughout my time in NSU. She worked for the Terrebonne Parish Transit. Every time she saw me, and she was a blonde-haired lady, she has the very sweet accent, and she kind of, when she saw my back on the cement, and this is at Goes Hall, or anywhere that she sees me, even at the mall, every time she kind of sees me, she's like, oh, I'm so bad that you have to carry that back on that latch. So there was a good thing that she sometimes, and this depends on the driver too, that sometimes she pulled the ramp down for me. Just so I don't have to tear up my shoulders. Also get my back to be so tired at the very end of the day. All that. But that's the little things that do count. Number 3, classroom accommodations. Now that to me is the third huge thing that made my life easy. I know I try not to complain that much, and I was easy to pretty well please. For the most part, and most of these professors can say they agree with me. So classroom accommodations for me was helpful, because then again, I feel like I know I held myself accountable for all class assignments regardless, and no modifications were really necessary. Unless I had to, for me, I only had to do the accommodations with extended time for exams. I had to do recorded lectures, preferable seating, those types I know I used. But they also had rules about if you need an interpreter, you can get an interpreter, pretty much. But that's the cool part about it, because then again, for me, like I said, autism not just affects my learning. And I know I had to fight hard for a lot of things. But sometimes it affects my motor skills, so that also explains why I had to work extra hard in my lessons, and I had to practice probably harder than most students because I couldn't accept defeat, if you understand. Especially like with Dr. Miranda, my favorite, trying to do dexterity on the fingers, and I had a little trouble at first. And it took a while to develop that habit, yeah. But I'm thankful he had patience with me 100% of the time. There we go. That's something good I talk about the faculty now. And most of the faculty in every situation in that campus, and Fletcher too, they were pretty easygoing when it comes to classroom accommodations. They didn't really get all fussy, get all mad at me. They didn't do none of that. They just like, hey, I'm gonna help you as best I can. Which brings me to my fourth point in probably the final. Office hours. And this can also go for the normal students too. But office hours, tutoring, all that is the whole shebang of how to make the most of your learning. And how sometimes even the little things here and there can make even experience of a disabled one just as much as it is for a normal student. And so for that one, it's like I'm glad I can go to them for help and advice. And also I'm glad for help at home, even. Which I remember my darn sister, every time I had homework. Oh, yeah. Every time I had homework, I'd text her and say, hey, I need your help. I'm stuck. I need help. And she kind of walks me through it if she could, you know. And that's my lifeline right there with my younger sister. I wouldn't have gotten this far without her, pretty much. And that's all I gotta say, and I'll see you later.